Me.
All right. Welcome to the Tesla community channel.
Yeah, hi. Welcome, guys.
Great to have Jennifer and Tesla Joy today. So,
Joining us for episode 5.
exactly. We'd like to have each guest introduce themselves just for a second so everybody knows who's here, from where we are, and then we go on from there, right? So,
Sounds
I'll just start. I'm Julian. I'm from Germany. And yeah, Claude and I, we run this channel.
All right. I'm Claude. I'm a father of 5 here in London, UK. And yeah, like Julian's saying, we've met on Twitter and we've been building this channel up. And we're very glad to welcome Jennifer and Joy to join us today for a really cool conversation and just in aid of the Tesla community. So, yeah, guys, Jennifer.
well, my name is Jennifer. I'm joining you from Richmond, Virginia, and I am a Tesla shareholder, and I tweet a lot about Tesla, and that's where these boys found me. And they asked me if I would come and talk to everybody about my views on Tesla, and I'm super excited about it. So, yeah.
Hi, I'm Joy, aka Tesla Joy, on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. I am a 2018 Tesla Model 3 owner. So my channel is about educating new and prospective Tesla owners on how to use this car and also share my experience with people. I also started a Tesla Women group that meet regularly to encourage women in the Tesla community to come together. And I'm thrilled to be here.
Awesome. Awesome. Just
Thank you.
an extra benefit for the viewers. On the left hand side of the screen, you have Tesla purchasers who are awaiting fulfillment of their orders, and on the right hand side of your screen, you have Tesla owners. So the left hand side at this point in time are very envious of the right hand side.
It's very true, but I had to wait because I spent all the money on stock, on Tesla stock. Very
And
easy
I'm
to do.
just saving like crazy to try and make ends meet to get one. So yeah.
Yes. So, as Tesla is publicly often seen as a car company, and that traditionally means lots of men are attracted, we'd like to, in the beginning, send out the message that women are welcome and their thoughts and contributions are equally valued in the community. Just wanted to make this very clear, and I think that's a topic we can talk about even more. So the first question is to you guys: how do you find yourselves in this male-dominated world of cars when the topic comes up in social settings, especially with regards to Tesla?
Do you want to start, Joy?
I'm actually tweeting out the link, so why don't you go ahead?
Cool.
Okay,
Yes.
sure. It's funny. I find that my experience on Twitter and my experience in like real life is very different. So on Twitter, like in the Tesla community, it's probably 95% male and everybody's super nice. And I don't really feel like anybody treats me uh, intellectually any different, for being a woman.
Nice.
I think everybody's very polite. And they're like, oh, a girl. There's a girl in our group. I can see that, but no one treats me like I'm an idiot or I don't know what I'm talking about. In real life, it's amazing how many people don't know about Tesla or don't have their facts straight. So I do find that I'm educating people quite a bit. And it's funny because people will stop me and ask me questions now because I'm like, my area's Tesla guru, apparently. So I'll be in the community pool, which is now closed because it's September, but I'll just be floating around the pool and someone will be like, hey, Jen, so what's going on with Tesla now? I heard that XYZ. And so I'll have to fill them in. So I feel like I'm the little Tesla ambassador for my corner of the world. But that's kind of how it's been going, for me as a woman in the Tesla community. But, I'm sure like everybody kind of has different experiences because Tesla's a very unique world. And I wouldn't say that that is my experience as a woman overall of all subjects. I would say that within Tesla, within the people that are interested in Tesla, they're a little more worldly and higher educated. I think that's the best way to put it, probably. I don't know. What do you think, Joy?
My experience has been the majority of people in the Tesla community are just great people. I do find that in real life, people are more receptive when I talk to them about Tesla. I've had neighbors stopping by when I was, out cleaning my car, asking me questions about the car. But online, I have run into men, unfortunately, who are, excuse me, kind of, I guess, know it all. They, recently, I was on a Twitter space, and I was invited on a panel. And this one guy, he just kept talking and talking. He has like 100,000 followers and whatever. So he kept talking, and then the host, I joined. I just kept quiet because just let him share his view. And then when the host asked me a question and I tried to answer, the guy kept cutting me off, like trying to say, no, it's not going to be that way. But I'm just there sharing my perspective. So toward the end, I'm just like, okay, whatever you say. And I just went silent. So I come across men online more. In the Tesla community. And then I think this is why a lot of women are not so active on the social media platform, just because we do get these put downs by men. And me being an immigrant and minority woman, I'm both on Twitter and YouTube, I've gotten a lot of really just terrible comments on the content that I share. So I have thick skin. I'm older, so I'm just like, whatever. I'll give you a comeback. But for other women who are not, who may be a little bit more introverted, they may not take it as well, and they may be intimidated.
That makes sense. And now that you bring it up, there is one thing that happens to women all the time in the Tesla community, and that is when Tesla Q tells us that Elon's not gonna sleep with us in the comments. You know what I'm talking about, Tesla Joy. Every time we get in an Elon comment, Elon tweets something and we come in and we're positive, like we're just excited about whatever he's doing because he's Elon, he's amazing. And someone will come in, it's like 5 seconds later, and they're like, Elon's not going to sleep with you. And I'm like, my comment had nothing to do with that. Like
thankfully, I've never gotten those comments. It's probably because you're prettier than me. They look at me like, no, he is sure not going to do it. So I'm just going to spare that comment. I've never gotten it, but I can definitely see that.
Oh, yeah, all the time. Yeah. Like every time. I'll be like, yay, I'm so excited about like whatever, Optimus or Cybertruck or whatever. And that's every time without fail.
Yeah, there's sort of discrediting kind of comments that kind of fly out there and make Twitter a bit of a war zone.
Yes.
I just block them. I'm just like, block, and then move on. I'm like, oh, okay.
And,
I block and mute a lot. But
I can actually,
as I mentioned, they're not the norm. The majority, no. I would say 90% of the people I've come across is just wonderful, nice people.
Yeah, and that's Tesla Q. That's not the Tesla community. That's the dissenters.
Yeah, it's almost it's kind of it's their modus operandi, to try and find any excuse or any material to counter whatever argument we might make from a Tesla supporter side point of view. So, but yeah, and this actually rolls into the next question. So, okay, so if I was a super skeptic, and I've got a head full of FUD, right? And tell me what you guys think about how, what would be your personal conviction? How would you describe your personal conviction in Tesla? In say, as an elevator pitch, in like less than you've caught my attention for 5 minutes, but I'm one of those super skeptical, don't really know anything about Tesla. I have a huge amount of FUD and um, inaccurate opinions about Tesla, but you've got my attention for a few minutes. What comes to mind about, how would you describe your personal conviction?
That's a good question. I did have an experience with someone that I've known for a long time, and this happened back in 2018, right after I got my Model 3. And this person just said Elon is a fraud, Tesla is a scam. And I simply asked, I said, okay, if the products they're putting out is terrible, then fine. But as a customer, uh, I use it every day. This car is amazing. So could you please explain to me why you think it's a scam? Because I'm telling you as an actual owner and an actual customer that they make amazing products. And I'm happy with it. So I don't understand why is it a scam, why you say it's a scam or fraud. And he couldn't answer me. So I think when I encounter a situation like this, I mean, online, I will probably just engage in verbal wars, which I personally don't like. But this person I know personally. So if someone comes to me that I know that have these doubts, right, about or they've gotten some misinformation about Tesla, then that's my response. I say, hey, you know me, right? And I'm telling you as a customer, it's a great product. So could you please tell me why you think that this is bad? And then see what they say, and then I can re-educate them based on the misinformation that they've gotten, and to say, okay, I get it. That's where you're coming from, but this is the actual truth, and this is actually what happened, to shift their thinking.
Awesome.
What about you, Jennifer?
I would imagine if somebody has a lot of FUD for Tesla, that they probably don't know a lot about the company. They're thinking it's a car company. They're thinking it's electric cars, and they're big on gas cars. So I would probably say to them, Tesla is likely the most patriotic company that you can invest in. And here is why. Because Elon Musk is single-handedly repatriating manufacturing to the United States by making humanoid robots and by adding solar power and the power walls and being able to store that power. We'll be able to afford to bring all of our manufacturing back from China. And in that moment, they're going to be like, what? Can you explain that to me? And so we get into a conversation. And so from the beginning, and this is why I have 7 figures in Tesla stock, because I figured out a while ago it was not about the cars. And the cars are something that people will buy and that they will make a lot of money on so that they can fund the real mission. And also, the self-driving part was to solve for perception and robotics. And it was always about the machine that makes the machine, which is the factories. And so, that's less than 5 minutes, probably less than a minute.
Yeah.
And, but that, I've said a lot right there. And definitely, we'd probably have like a broader discussion.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with Jennifer on bringing up the point that a lot of people don't realize that Tesla is the most American-made car here in the States. And when I share it with them, and they're like, "Oh, I thought it's like an Italian brand." I'm like, "No, it was conceptualized here in California. They started making it in California. It's designed in California." And I know that for my Model 3, 75% of the parts are sourced from North America. So that kind of would give people sort of like a light bulb moment, like, oh, I didn't realize that this is actually American car. Like if you look at Ford, GM and all those, they're actually less American than Tesla. So that would get them start thinking in the back of their head, oh, maybe I've gotten this wrong, or the information I've gotten, they're not truthful.
No, it's very true. And, we have to fight not only the FUD that's kind of floating out there, but professional FUD, because the newscasters are telling people that Ford and GM are the American car makers. That's what they say. They don't, use they're the traditional car makers, or they make gas, powered vehicles. They're the American car makers, and Tesla's an other car maker. So my mom and I recently, we went on a little trip to go visit some family friends, and there's this dear family friend of ours I absolutely love, and she kept referring to the American car makers and Tesla, and I said, no, Tesla is an American car manufacturer. Like they're based in Austin, like they're here. The cars are made here. So it's
yeah,
hard.
and I think American people, most of them that don't know about Tesla, pretty all of them, and they may be against Tesla. They've been deceived by ads, commercials, right? So when you're sharing your story, I just have flashback in my mind of the American cowboy, driving the big truck, right? Whatever, the Ford truck, whatever, GMC truck, and just this American, so patriotic. But it's like, no, you've been deceived by these ads. They want you to think yes, it's a brand, it's American brand, but that's just the name of it. The components, manufacturing, if you really look at the source and where the cars are being assembled, you're going to find that it is so less than half American with these cars.
That's very true, because Tesla does make a lot of their own parts, and they actually manufacture their cars. Ford and GM, a lot of the times they assemble their cars. They're not making them. So when people start saying like, well, on the news this and the news that, and I said, hold on, you got to back up for a second. Who's the news's boss? Like, who's paying the news's bills, right? The advertisers. Who are the biggest advertisers? It's going to be the auto manufacturers and drug companies. So whatever they're telling you about autos and drugs is going to be heavily skewed. Just accept that, And then when you point that out, you see the little wheels turning, and they're like, oh, okay. It takes a couple of conversations, and then the light bulb moment. And I always hate being that person. I call it the wool remover, when you pull the wool out, from off of somebody's eyes, and then they see the truth, because they no longer get to live in that wonderful bubble. Then they see the world for what it is, and they're like, I've been lied to. They're pissed. I tell you, they're not happy about it in the beginning. And you're the person that put them there. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. You never want to be that messenger, but someone's got to tell them.
Yeah. And this just actually reminded me, I grabbed my phone because 3 days ago, a neighbor down the hall, he sent me this link with the title, Tesla owner refuses to pay over $21,000 for a new battery, gets locked out of his car. And he says, saw this and thought I sent it to you, wondering if you knew about this. And so I read the article. This was a 2013 old Model S. And so the battery's out of warranty. And then this guy was just crying. He was just a crybaby that Tesla won't replace his main battery for free. And so I literally responded to him. I said, heard about it, and this dude is tripping. This article is also FUD. I have friends who have old Tesla like this one, and nobody has issues. I have friends with newer Tesla driven 150,000 to 250,000 miles on original battery with no issues. Plus, this battery was out of warranty. Unfortunately, there are crybabies on the internet making a big fuss out of something that's their own fault, creating false narratives. So the thing is, when someone makes a loud noise about this and some media picks it up, it gets totally highlighted, right, and emphasized. So my neighbors like, LOL, okay, wanted to get your take on it. Good to know. And I told him, this was my last text to him. When you see extreme stuff like this in the media, it usually is a crybaby, not getting their way. It's just an outlier, not the norm. And I said, this principle applies to everything you see in the news, pretty much. But that just, I get once in a while, I will get a message like that from a friend who is not a Tesla owner, who doesn't know much about Tesla. And that's what I have to tell them. I said, this does not happen like, Tesla battery was caught on fire and like, oh, wow. And I'm just like, no, is something happened with that particular car. It's not the norm, but unfortunately the media just exaggerates it. And then so
Mm.
people pick up on these and they're like, oh, Tesla is bad, it's going to blow
Yeah.
up, you're going to get locked out of your car, your battery's going to die.
You know what people forget, and whenever somebody brings one of those stories up, I tell them, I say, you do realize there are 3 million Teslas on the road, right? 3 million Teslas. And you see them all the time. I see them all the time by us,
Same here.
If they were just catching on fire all the time, there would be fires everywhere. Like you would not be able to miss it. So what do you think is more likely? You're missing hundreds of fires daily, or the media's lying to you?
It's just,
You
and like how many people now have FSD beta?
Right. Oh, it's like 100,000.
There should be
Joy,
streets
do you
should be.
have
I should be
FSD
dead by
beta?
now. I should be dead by now, right? My car would have blown
Yeah,
up. I've had this for over 4 years. I've been using autopilot, enhanced autopilot, now FSD for a year, right? If this car, if the technology truly is so terrible, I wouldn't be sitting here
Yeah, you
looking
would
at all
be
of you and talking
sitting
to you.
in a burning Tesla running over children.
Exactly, right? Yeah, or I would be in jail. I'm not. I would have gotten into an accident. I did not. So,
Yeah.
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 Now, Joy, do you have the 10.69?
Yeah, I got 10.69.2 2 weeks ago. I'm the last wave. Like I didn't get it until like Monday morning at 2:30. Everyone, I just went to sleep. Everyone's like, Joy, check your phone. Like at midnight, I'm like, nope, nothing. I'm going to sleep. I'm the FSD beta peasant. I'm the very last group that they rolled this out to. But yeah, I've been a FSD beta tester since October 2021.
Ah,
And
cool.
prior to that, the first day I picked up my car, I drove like 40 miles to show the car to my mother, and I used autopilot on the freeway day one. So I've been using autopilot for over 4 years since the day I picked it up. And then a few months later, they rolled out Navigator Autopilot, which is the ability to automatically navigate highways, on ramp, auto lane change, off ramp. So I've been using it since late 2018. And then FSD City Self Driving came out, and I signed up, and yeah, I've been using it for the last 4 years and never gotten into an accident. And
What
it
about
actually saved me from a few accidents.
I'm sure, yeah.
what about people who have never been in a Tesla experience this, and when they're experiencing this for the first time? What is it like for them, especially in cities?
Yeah, that's a great question. I actually recently, last week, I did a video with this gentleman called Darren. He's from Singapore, but he was in town. So he did a video of me driving him in FSD beta 10.69.2.2 on his YouTube channel. And this was actually his second time in my FSD beta car. So the first time was right after Cyber Rodeo. He was looking to film an FSD beta experience, and my friend Zach, Black Model 3 on Twitter, he connected me with Darren. So I took him and his wife out on a first drive, and they were just blown away. They were completely just blown away. And his wife, while sitting in the back, she's like, this is driving much better than I can. And I also showed them, auto park and all the technology, and they love it. And the second time that Darren rode, so it's been 5 months since his first experience. The second time, he said if it's so much more confident than 5 months ago when he first wrote it, and he felt like it was me driving and not the car driving itself. And I've had family and friends that have written in my car, and we would just like chit chat, and I would just tell them if they didn't know, like, by the way, my car's driving itself. They're like, what? It is? And I'm like, yeah.
Awesome.
I'll like,
Awesome.
we'll do a turn. I'm like, look. And then I just kind of, have my hand, right by the wheel, and then the wheel just turns. They're like,
Awesome.
yeah.
I think Omar had a similar story. He has something. He was getting a service done, and I think the guy he just again, like you say, Joy, in casual conversation, just saying, "Yeah, sure. You want to take a ride? I'll for a few minutes. I'll show you what this vehicle's about." And he kind of blew the guy right out of his paradigm.
Yeah.
He was just he had no idea about this technology. Um, one thing is just sticking in my head there for a second is something you just mentioned just now, Jennifer. I thought it was a really interesting point to say that as much as everyone sees Tesla as a car company, I totally agree that some of the primary fundamental objectives aren't really so much to do with the car. It's almost just it just happens that they're using the creation of cars as a like a one of their means to advance their technology. But how often is it that you find in the mainstream with that the general opinion is that Tesla's just a car company, and
Yeah.
that's a really strikes me as a really interesting point. I think if I was kind of that person with my head full of FUD, I would have thought, "What do you mean it's not a car company?" And that would really launch you into the conversation. And just excuse me, guys, I've got the kids here. I'm listening. Don't worry, I'll be right with you.
That's
No,
fine.
Paul has a very good point, though. A lot of people do think it's about the cars, but we all know Elon is a lot smarter than that, and he figures stuff out like 10 plus steps ahead, which is why I think he never intended to buy Twitter. But that's like a whole other thing. But anyways, but with Tesla, I think he knew the whole time he was going to be able to make cool cars. He's a car guy. He likes cars. He had a McLaren. Come on. Like his first million he got, he ran out and bought a McLaren. The guy likes cars, but he figured out like people will buy cars, and I can get a lot of data from cars, because think about it. All of the Teslas come with everything that you need for full self-drive, if you pay for it or not. The whole suite is on there because it's sending all the information back to Tesla, because every Tesla is training all of the Teslas. So that's why they have over 1 billion miles driven that they can train in the supercomputer and train the system, which is why they are solving for full self-drive, why they are solving for perception and robotics, and why nobody else is.
Yeah, that's a great point, Jennifer. So a lot of misconception that people have about Tesla owners is we are tree huggers, we're environmentalists.
Yes.
Okay. Me personally, I am not. I don't care. I don't recycle. I'm okay. I wanted to buy a Tesla not because it's zero emissions, but because of the technology. So my background is in engineering, and I was in tech for 25 plus years. So I'm a self-professed geek and nerd, and I love, gadgets and new technology. So when I first encountered Tesla, when I first had my experience with Tesla, with autopilot, self park, and all the stuff, it just blew me away. I was like, wow, this car's technology is amazing. So a lot of, and throughout the years now, I'm, gotten involved in the Twitter community or Tesla community. I found that the majority of us that bought Tesla is not because of environmental reasons. It's because of the amazing technology that this car has.
Mhm.
So I completely would agree with Jennifer. And when people ask me what I think about Tesla, I'm like, this is not a car company. It's a technology company at its core.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I always tell people it's an AI company. It's robotics, AI, and software. And they go, what software products besides FSD is what they'll say. And I'm like, AutoBidder. Have you heard of the Dojo supercomputer? And they're like, what's AutoBidder? And we start
What
talking
is AutoBidder? I don't even know about that. You got to
You
educate
don't know
me.
about AutoBidder?
Yeah, what is that?
Can we talk about AutoBidder? Is it time to talk
Yeah,
about AutoBidder?
absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's one of the channel's ideas to explain everything to everyone. But I'm sure, Joy, you know what it is when she explains it to you. You don't know, just don't know.
You probably do, Joy. So, all right. Now we're into Tesla Energy. So, what a lot of people don't understand is that Tesla is like a bunch of companies in one. And one of the major companies is Tesla Energy. So, you have the Tesla solar roof. That's usually what everybody thinks of when they think of Tesla Energy. But you also have solar panels and then the containment devices. So, you've got Megapack, you've got Powerwall. You have Power Pack, which I think we haven't seen being offered lately, so I don't know if they're still doing Power Pack. It's the size in between Megapack and Powerwall. But so AutoBidder is the software that goes along with all this, and it allows you to arbitrage the power between different users. So let's say you had a neighborhood. In the neighborhood, all the houses are built with Tesla solar roof, power walls, and then everybody has AutoBidder software. Now you are a standalone virtual power plant because you can sell power in between the units. So if you had a household that had a lower need than another household, that household could sell, within seconds. And that's what AutoBidder does. So Tesla can literally replace all power plants in the United States, in the world. If you think about it. And what's amazing is like Africa has a huge need. Like they're developing. So they're starting to build their power infrastructure. So they have to make decisions. Do we build a coal plant? Do we do a nuclear plant? Or do we do a solar plus battery farm? And what is the most cost effective? Well, I'll tell you, when you math it out, a Tesla battery farm or solar farm plus battery is the most cost effective for that entire continent.
That's
And
amazing.
that is one part of the company.
Yeah. Thank you for explaining that to me. So I am not so much into Tesla Energy part, although I know there of them. It's just because I can't install solar or have Powerwall where I am. But now that makes sense, and now I know what AutoBidder is. Yeah, thank you.
Well, and if I had FSD beta, I'd be busy too. I'd be driving around in my car everywhere.
Me too. Definitely.
Yeah, so the software technology, when it comes to FSD, for example, it might potentially save millions of lives in the future. There's also a book that Claude and I are currently reading, which is about the ethics of thinking about future humans, and everything we're doing right now and today is affecting future lives. And this is obvious if you really think about it, but then the question arises, what should you do? So for Tesla, the idea is not really whether you should do FSD, but how to solve it, because they're what we owe the future. That's the name of the book. Thank you. So the idea of Tesla, or some theme that I think is repeated over and over again, is thinking about how can we have the most positive impact on humanity overall, and whatever that is, we're going to do it. Tesla's going to do it, and they're solving self-driving, which is eventually like 1,000,000 times safer than the best human pilot on Earth. And same goes, as you just explained, Jennifer, for AutoBidder, where you're distributing power across the country. I mean, there are calculations where you just need 100 by 100 miles of solar energy to power all the US. It's like a tiny fraction of some state. Just having solar energy. And of course, you need batteries as well to store the energy, especially when the sun doesn't shine or the wind doesn't blow. And then you will have infinite power. And this is a topic that's being repeated over and over again. I think this is so inspiring because it's just pro-human. It's not really about money. They are making crazy amounts of money on the side. It's just a nice side effect. But the basic idea of Tesla is just so compelling, and that's why we also created this channel to contribute to this mission of doing positive impact in helping out future lives.
Yeah, and that's an interesting. There's an interesting point in there about concentrations of energy, like a power plant, versus a more distributed form of energy, like a virtual grid. And there are some interesting debates about, well, if you're going to funnel energy through a sort of a tight conduit, like let's say Russia supplies a lot of energy to a lot of countries in various shapes and forms, those countries become sort of at the mercy of whatever decisions Russia makes. They might decide to turn the oil off, sort of thing. And that's one example where it would almost suggest go for the more distributed form of energy. If you can imagine a large city with solar panels and power walls and a distributed virtual grid, then you can't really attack that. You can't really have a single person claiming all the power. It sort of it encourages a healthy democracy in that sense, and in terms of energy, and
it's
that's
just decentralized.
Right, but it also discourages dictatorships, and so, which is a good thing. Don't get me wrong, it's a good thing. But so does Bitcoin and other crypto, and there are a lot of governments that are against it. So when you start to threaten somebody's power, sorry about my weird lighting situation here. Apparently, the sun.
No, it's great.
The sun in Virginia. Look, I'm like, ooh, see this? This is from my window. Anyways,
it's the sun, it's solar power.
And it's like it's 3 o'clock. We're gonna get you. Anyway, so I'm gonna fix it in a minute once I make my point. Where was I? Dictators. Yes. So people who are in power like to stay there. They're big fans of it. So when you threaten their power, you're putting a target on your back. So it's going to be interesting. What's funny is a lot of people are not paying attention to Tesla energy at all. They only see the cars. Maybe they see the robot and they're a little like, oh, I don't know about this robot, but they think it's way far in the future. I'm telling you right now, the robot's done. And that's what I think, because FSD's done. And that's all you needed to do was for the robot. So we're going to find out in 2 days. I can't wait. I'm so excited. But I know.
AI day 2. Let's go.
The whole day I'm going to be freaking out. I know. Yeah, you guys are going to get real sick of me on Twitter because it'll be like every second. I'm like, can anybody even function today? Like, but anyway, so when governments realize that they're going to lose a little bit of their power, because what you don't realize is governments do have a fair amount of power, even the American government, through the power companies, that they do work together. There's a lot of regulation that's around power companies and the government. They all have monopolies. Like, you don't have a choice between power companies. Nobody can compete to make a competitive market. What's really funny about the American government is they have a lot of rules for everybody else. They follow none of them. None of these rules are applied to them. The rules are for thee and not for me. And
I suspect that's very similar for many governments around the world.
Because they want to keep their power, So it's going to be interesting when they realize, like, oh, they can make their own power grid and they don't need us anymore.
Yeah,
Because they
especially
don't like crypto. It's a lot like crypto.
No, they don't. They don't like losing power, and it's a very very valid point, and I agree. I agree.
as a German, I can just affirm this point because, you know, the last chancellor for the last nearly 2 decades was very into appeasing Putin and making deals for the gas lines, pipelines coming all the way from Russia, and now we have this big mess. And I'm always thinking about Tesla Energy, like if we just had the solar energy distributed all over Germany or all over Europe, and battery storage for that, there's no way that this situation could have happened. But now we are living with this, and it really there's like a silver lining on the horizon that maybe this wakes up the politicians. And I just 2 days ago I read some complaint by a company that's running wind power plants in Germany, and they needed to shut down the electricity that is being produced. They could not sell it because there was already enough being produced by coal plants, gas burning, and so on. So the renewable energy from the wind couldn't be stored because they didn't have any batteries then, and it just was wasted. So the actual consumers got screwed over by this fact that there are no batteries to store this, but we're reliant on burning gas because it's coming through. And actually
no batteries for storage, and no option for using that power either. Because if it was hooked up to, say, Bitcoin mining, and listen, and I have no Bitcoin. Like, I'm not a crypto person. I'm like, yay, crypto bros. I hope you succeed. Good luck in your endeavor. But like, I'm not a crypto believer. I'm a Tesla person. I'm like a musketeer. If I could have like little ears like Mouseketeers, but musketeer, we got to figure something out, because I don't have the shorts.
Totally.
I've asked Elon to make more shorts. I don't know if he saw my tweet, but so now we need something else for the musketeers. But so I'm not pro crypto, but I'm just saying, that now my thought train derailed. I had a point. Where was I?
It's going to come back to you.
Yeah.
Sure.
Dang, where were we? You know what? I got so excited about my musketeer ears.
The decentralized power grid, Germany.
Yes, not having enough.
Oh, yes. Yeah. So that's it. Germany. You needed to keep the nuclear plants is the problem, though.
Yeah.
That's the key. So I figured it out, the answer, right? I'm almost 42. That is the answer. So I probably have all the answers. I think if we all
not as much as I do.
Well, because you've surpassed 42, so you're
way past 42.
There you go. So here's the answer. Just like make all the power that everybody needs, and then make the clean power. Make the clean power. Don't turn off any of the current power, though. Let's keep that, because there's new people every year. That happens. People have babies. There's more people. If you look at the trend, there's just more people. And then and then when we have a surplus of power, when we have like a whole bunch of new clean power, then we can slowly turn off the bad power. Yeah, I don't know why they didn't figure that out.
Yeah, you just phase it out instead of just, it's not a switch on and off. I mean, even my power company, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, they started giving us option to pay more and have 100% renewable energy power delivered to us, or 50% or like 25%. And it's less expensive, of course, if you get less renewable energy. But I know now that my electricity is powered by clean renewable energy, and it's just a way for them to start phasing this out. So like, if you can afford it now, I mean, I'm not at 100 because it's just double the price, right? So I do have what's called a lean power, and that has 25% of renewable energy. But I'm hoping as time goes on, as California starts to build more of these infrastructure, right? And and here in California, the governor mandated that started in 2035, they're going to ban sales of new gas cars, right? So here's another FUD I've been seeing among my circle is people like, oh, well, California has all these rolling blackouts at the recent heat waves, and then but the governor wants 35 million electric vehicles to plug in. How is that going to work? I'm like, okay, I'm making a video. I'm gonna break it down to why that just not gonna happen. But yeah, so from now until then, I'm hoping that the 100% renewable energy power price will start to drop. Right, initially it's all just going to be more expensive, but then as time goes on, as Jennifer had mentioned, right, and new generation grows up and they are more educated on renewable energy, then they're going to want to select more, right, of the cleaner power, right? So then hopefully 10 years from now, it's all going to be, they're just going to start phasing out the less, the dirty energy. And then 10 years from now, all they're going to offer is 100% renewable clean energy at an affordable price for everybody.
Yeah, it's along the lines of the same argument that Elon was making as well, to say he's not against, he's not like brutally opposed to the burning of fossil fuels, and that it's actually becomes very obvious that if you just shut down all fossil fuel energy sources tomorrow, that would not have a very good effect on the globe. So it's almost like paying respects to fossil fuels, which have done so much for civilization up till this point. Now is actually a really, really good time to appreciate it, and then to recognize the next level in that in the technology of energy production and storage now, and and utilization. And it's
It's a
it's a
progression. It's a progression.
yeah,
And a lot of times
yeah,
when I think about it, I think we're living in exciting times, like all of us right now, because we're watching history in the making and we're at the beginning of it, right? It's like if I were like back in the days when, automobile just started to come out, like Ford just started making, automobile, and I was still on the
yeah,
carriage, right? And I'm like,
yeah.
oh, what is that, right? And then
Horseless
and
carriage.
then more and more people are driving automotive, and less people are riding on horse carriages, right? So I
Yeah.
feel like we're at that point now with both electric vehicles and
Mm,
also with
mm,
energy.
Yeah, that's actually one of the questions I'd like to ask you. So, does Tesla feel like having first rows to history?
yeah, like having front row seats to the making of history. Is that what does that what it feel like for you guys?
It feels great because I am really excited to be a part of this, and to tell people about this new technology, this new product that will make their life so much easier, right? And here in California, our gas prices have been, I mean, in United States, our gas prices have been going up, and in California even so. I have so many friends. They're like, "Oh yeah, gas prices." I'm like, you know what? Let me go pick you up. Because they're like, "Oh no, I don't want you." I'm like, I don't pay for gas, right? So then they're like, "Oh, yeah, you drive an electric car. You don't pay $7 per gallon of gas, right?" So this is a way. This is a way for me to tell people this is the future, and the future is here, and we're stepping into that now. So like I said, it's very exciting time for me to be at, I mean, obviously I'm not a super early Tesla owner, but like 2018 now, my car is old. Just like
What?
I have an old car, I have an old Tesla now, but
Is it a legacy yet? Are you legacy?
yeah, almost, right. And so just as time goes on, I tell people Tesla is software running on hardware platform, right? I mean, my car, the hardware platform, one day it's going to wear out, right? That the advancement in software will not be able to support it anymore. Then that's when I'll have to get a new car. But the advancement is in leaps and bounds now, right? So before it kind of goes up, now it's kind of like going like this, right? So I think I came in like right at the peak, like in the middle of it, like just starting to go up. So yeah, it's very exciting. And I have a friend whom I convinced to get a Model 3 as well. So she took delivery of hers
Awesome.
2 months after I did. It was my office mate. And we don't work together, but earlier this year, out of the blue, she texted me. She said, if I have never thanked you for introducing me to Tesla, thank you, because the gas
Awesome.
price was so high and it's saving her so much money.
Oh, stunning.
That is
Oh, that's
awesome.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. It makes a lot of sense too on the West Coast. Like, and if you're not military, like I can go on post and I can get gas. I was just on Fort Lee and it was $3.05 a gallon. So, you know, you don't really feel it when your gas is $3.05 a gallon. But when I lived in Germany, like the gas is outrageous. It'll be $3.05 a liter. But we're Americans who don't really understand what a liter is. You know, we're like, that doesn't look that bad. And then you realize there's like, how many liters are in a gallon? It's like
Yeah, isn't it
4.5.
4.5.
Yeah. And then you have to do fractional math and you're like, oh, we're not that good at math. You know, so
It's super cheap for you. Super cheap.
Yeah, oh, crikey,
$7 a gallon is for free basically.
Yeah,
right,
yeah, hey.
right. You know, yeah, in Germany it's flat. What is it? You guys are like at what, like $9 a gallon about now or something?
Yeah, something like this.
Yeah. I mean, I'm guessing. I'm like, oh, it's probably about $9 a gallon. Yeah, about, you know. And you can't buy gas on Sundays. And at least in Bavaria, you can't because it's like super Catholic, which is fine. That's fine. You know, I mean, you have to go on the Autobahn to buy gas if you want to buy gas, but you can charge at your house whenever.
Which is insane. Just to think about it. It's yeah.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, gas stations are sometimes closed. I know that we're used to everything being open all the time, but stuff happens. Like we had a hurricane when we were at Fort Bragg, which is in North Carolina. It's in Fayetteville, North Carolina. And there was, I think it was Hurricane Andrew. I think that was the hurricane. And all the gas stations were closed. They were all closed. But if you had a generator, you could have literally powered up your car. And it's funny because people are like, I see people powering these cars with generators and gas powered generators. You've all seen that FUD too, you know, that meme going around. And first of all, I see the meme people ask me about because that's one that they asked me about. And I'm like, firstly, that car is in a driveway and that house has power. Plug the car in. What are you doing? And if you're using a generator, then you guys are out of power. And the gas stations are closed, and you're the only car that works.
Yeah. On Twitter, there's been a guy who went outside and filmed the street, and people were coming up to his house because he was the only one having power because he had solar panels and the battery pack. And he was just living normal life, right?
Yeah, I had a friend also. Once he posted on his Facebook, a high school friend of mine, a college friend of mine. He said he didn't even realize his neighborhood had a power outage until like he went outside and everyone else was dark and his house was lit because he had Tesla Powerwall. And he was like, oh, I didn't even know there was a power outage. And I think, Jennifer, if you remember, maybe last year or a couple of years ago, there was a blizzard in Texas, like the abnormal, right? So I actually talked to somebody that has a Tesla Model Y or Model 3, and he was able to power up lamps in his living room by connecting an adapter from his 12-volt from the garage into the house. And everyone else is dark. There's like no power, but his kids are still running around. There's a lamp in the living room. right?
Mhm.
So it's just like, I'm like, come on, people, come on. If you know,
Yeah.
like all the gas stations were shut down, like people couldn't get
Exactly.
gas, but his
Yeah.
car still had charge because he plugged in at home.
You know,
Amazing.
and Joy, that's a really good point, because although you cannot yet plug the car into the house and power the house, which I'm really hoping that Elon changes his mind on
Yeah.
that, because that would be amazing. It would automatically be a
V2G.
whole house generator. I mean, come on, it would be amazing. But you can use the 12-volt power. And could you do that with any car? Of course you can, but then you have to run it. And you
Yeah.
don't
Yes,
want to be running a gas engine in
in the
your
garage.
right,
Stinking
in
up
a
the
closed
garage.
environment, you know, right next to your children, just so you could turn a lamp
Yeah.
on. Like, you're not going to do that to like charge the iPads, but you're going to do it to charge the iPads if it's a Tesla and you're not having all that noxious gas, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I also read another story. Also during that blizzard, this person he slept in his Model 3. He had
Yeah.
Mhm.
Why not?
heat
Why not?
Yeah, you
at
can
the
do
time.
camping
He was
mode.
listening to music.
You have camping mode in a Tesla, and it
Yes,
will
Yeah.
change the
I can't.
environment.
I sleep in my Tesla once a year when I go to a church
Mhm.
retreat. I just sleep in there.
Yeah.
It's
Awesome.
so nice. It's
Yeah. It's
amazing.
Emergency
awesome.
housing, and they are temporarily boats,
Yeah.
according to Elon.
Yep.
So, you know,
Yep.
they'll float. I mean, you don't want it. You do not want to be
Oh
fording.
yeah.
Listen, audience, do not ford any rivers in your Tesla. That's not what I'm suggesting.
Yeah.
But, you know,
But they have. But they have. Hey, there have been. I think there was at least one story
In
of someone
Australia.
who drove his Tesla out of a flooded area,
mhm,
dotted with vehicles that were basically stuck,
Yeah.
and
mhm.
used the spin of the wheels to kind of get a bit of forward motion and basically steadily make his way
Yeah,
out
I
of
actually did a
yeah.
video, I
So,
think a year or
but
two
yeah,
ago when I was supercharging. It was outdoors and it was pouring rain, and people would wonder, oh, you're gonna electrocute yourself. You're supercharging in the
yeah,
rain with water. So I did a video and I dug up all the stories about Tesla and driving in the water. And there was one story of the person. It was in Australia, and there was like the road was completely flooded, and he waded through, and he made it out fine. So he
because
lived. He didn't get
the engine
electrocuted.
isn't going to stall.
There's no engine. That's why I tell people that's another thing that again, going back to at the beginning of this conversation about education. I have
Mm.
told so many people, I'm like, this car has no engine. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, let me pop my hood. And then I pop it and it's all my grocery bags in there. They're like, what?
There's your engine.
I'm like, this car has no engine. So there's no timing bell. There's no, engine oil, no catalytic converter that people get, that gets stolen from here in LA. There's, you don't have exhaust that when it gets old, it's going to fall off the car. And you don't have to do oil change, no smog check. And they're like, oh, I
Yeah,
didn't realize this. So again, it's just like people don't understand
yeah.
how
And if
the
that
car
isn't a
works.
conversation starter,
Yes, yes. I like, just watch many stunned faces when I tell them there's no engine in this car. They're like, what do you mean? And
interesting.
I had to explain
Yeah.
it to them. Yeah.
Education is a huge
Yeah,
part.
'cause people
Sorry.
will ask, they'll be like, what do you mean that like a Tesla floats and a, regular car doesn't float? And I'm like, well, a regular car, like a gas powered engine, requires air. It needs oxygen because it has a tiny flame in there, like you're literally burning fuel. And with an electric motor, you don't require air. So you can be airtight. So we're like a little airtight capsule and it floats. That's how that works.
Yeah.
And they're
And
like,
this is
oh.
and this is how I converted my office mate back in 2018 because she had her heart dead set on a Lexus convertible coupe for
Mm.
many,
Right.
many, many, many years. Okay. And then her 17-year-old little Nissan Sentra was breaking down. And so I already had my Model 3 on reservation. And so she's like, I want to get a Lexus. I don't know when I should get it. I'm like, why don't you get a Tesla? She's like, well, I don't know. I don't like the way I really love that Lexus. I'm like, listen to me. If you get a Lexus, you're gonna still have the same problem as your Nissan Sentra, even though it's a Lexus. because Tesla has no engine. She's like, what do you mean there's no engine? I'm like, nothing. It's just battery, wheels. That's it. And she's like, well, what about catalytic converter? I'm like, there's nothing to convert, right? So she didn't understand at the time, right? So when I explained this to her and it dawned on her, oh my goodness, this thing has so much less mechanical maintenance that I need to worry about down the road. So she went ahead and put out her reservation, and I didn't even know until she's like, hey, I'm gonna pick up my Tesla. I'm like, you what?
Awesome.
She's like, yeah, after I talked to you, I went and reserved one. I was like, really?
Yeah.
So that's just again, education.
I will just briefly share a video. Can you see this?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's on YouTube. Just for the audience who are watching this, it's the car driving through a flooded area.
It's the SS Tesla.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, this is not real.
That's not real.
Yeah.
But here,
but yeah. Oh yeah, this one I referenced in my video as well. They were testing it in China. Yeah.
So they can just go through floods and are safe.
Yeah, it's astonishing. It's astonishing to consider how many things that they've thought of. In producing this technology. It's so refreshing to see that, and it's also interesting to consider the average corporate will have a strategy to compete. To attempt to differentiate themselves from their competitors. But if you think of Tesla as a corporation, they actually encourage the competitors to follow them down the same road, granted, but they're not really interested in competing as such. They have a much more urgent and frankly noble mission, and that being the acceleration of the advent of sustainable energy, together with a safer, more exciting future. And it's very inspiring, and I'm loving these points you guys are making about how these conversation starters, the people you encounter along the way, and the surprises they have when you're answering their questions and showing them that there's no engine under the bonnet and that kind of thing. It's really cool.
Yeah.
And another thing. Sorry. And another thing I question I often get, because I can't charge my car at home. So a lot of people are like, oh, what if there's a natural disaster and, you can't charge your car? I'm like, I've had my car parked for 32 days and it only lost 15% of charge. So when I come back, it's still fine. And
Awesome.
people are like, what, really? And I'm like, yeah, it's, when you drive, I mean, you don't, the battery doesn't just die like that.
Yeah.
And it lasts for a long time. And initially during the pandemic lockdown back in March 2020, I did not charge my car for 51 days. I didn't have to. It could have gone on longer, but my car went down to like 24%.
Awesome.
I'm like, okay, let me just go charge it up. I could, if I wanted to run it down to 10%, I could have gone on, I don't know, 60, 70, 80 days without needing to charge. If I'm, doing the lockdown, I wasn't out that much. But at the same time, my neighbor down the hall, one day I saw a tow truck coming, or a hit AAA service. Her 12-volt battery died in her gas car.
Wow.
Well,
isn't that the thing? You got the average 3 or 4 year old vehicle. I don't think it'll fare too well if you leave it sitting for more than a couple of weeks without starting it. You run into problems.
Yeah, mine just still
it's
jump
just
in, drive. Yeah.
Well, your gas will get old. Your gas will degrade, and that's why they have additives in the gas.
Evaporate.
And another thing I recently shared with my cousin, whom I had lunch with. They've been thinking about getting a Tesla too because of the crazy gas prices here. And I told her, I said, look, my car just passed the 4-year anniversary. It still drives like I picked it up yesterday. because with electric vehicle, you don't have, again, there's no engine, right? There's no gear shifting, right? So
A lot less wear and tear.
with gas cars, after a few years, you can definitely feel the age. It'll start to slow down. It's not as sharp. The acceleration is just not there. Not my car. I'm like, I've had this car for 4 years. I don't even feel like I've had it for 4 years because you don't feel the age of the car for that reason. Yeah.
And now,
So it just
Joy,
makes
which batteries do you have? Do you have the 2170 batteries, or
yeah. I don't even know. It's my car was made in June 2018.
Okay,
So
I don't even know. I don't know what was before the 20. I don't know if there was a before the 2170s. I came in to interest of the batteries, like around the 2170, 4680. Like I understand that stuff, but I don't know what came before that. So
yeah, I think it's just the 2170.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
The 4680 didn't come out until they didn't.
No, yeah, they're not making. I don't think they're making Model 3s with the 4680. I think only a few Model Ys have come out with the 4680, and that's only for some of the employees. Yeah, I think they're saving those for Cybertruck and for Semi and for the Roadster, which is gonna fly. Did everybody see that tweet from France?
With a booster?
Well, yeah, Franz von Holzhausen, I'm pretty sure he's the one that put the tweet out. I retweeted it, but he's like, this car flies, literally. And I was like, what? Awesome. And then I told my mom, she has her small planes license, right? And she's like, I want the car that flies. That she's from Long Island. She's a very heavy accent. And that's all she'll say. I just want that car that flies. I said, well, that's not out yet. And she's like, could you get me one? Maybe.
Yeah, that's a question I've been asking is, will we have electric flying car? I mean, I interviewed Sandy Moreau a few months ago. That's when I'm like, what about, flying electric car? He was like, it already exists, eVTOL, when I was in China. And he started telling me stories. I'm like, oh, they exist already. That's awesome.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. That's crazy.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, you were saying that.
Awkward silence. Yeah, so
okay.
Constantly pushing the technology at hand, right? Also exchanging ideas with SpaceX, for example. And that's what is so exciting for me personally, also about everything that Musk touches or creates. There are synergies, and he's having like this overall picture and bringing stuff together also with AI, potentially Neuralink, Boring Company for transportation, energy, all these insane endeavors that were actually, most of them were never on my radar, kind of on a personal radar, on my interests before. But connecting the dots really makes you excited for the future, I think. And that's something that's really valuable that is being created by doing this. And when we had the group chat on Twitter before, for thinking about topics that we could talk about, one thing that really struck me was Claude and I, we both have girls, small girls as children. So what do you think? How can we help empowering girls or younger women, especially in these fields that are highly technical or regarded as highly technical? Especially you call it STEM in the US, I think, right? Science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Is that right?
Yep.
And what do you think? What's your perspective on this? Because I don't want my children to think, oh, this is a male-dominated thing. Leave it to them. It's also their future, right? It's just a stereotype.
Yeah, so that's a great question. So I mentioned at the beginning or a while back, my background is engineering, and when did I go to college? 30 years ago. 30 years ago. I remember walking into an assembly language class the first day. I walked in, I looked at the audience, I walked right back out. I looked at the room number. I'm like, this is not a fraternity meeting, is it? And so I was like, yeah, I do have the right room number. So I walked in. I think we had maybe 70 students in there, and I was one of the probably 3 female students at the time. That was 30 years ago.
Yeah.
But I can tell you that I am glad to see that there are women now that are in the STEM program.
Awesome.
I do have a stepdaughter, and I don't know what her, she doesn't know what her interests are. She's not into Tesla. I mean, when she was little, she's just like your son. Like she would just be like, "Oh, there's a Tesla." We'll
Yeah.
play beach buggy in my car and all that stuff. So what I do is I try to expose my daughter to technology stuff. I would take her to the California Science Center. We go look at Endeavor, space shuttle, science, whatever. But I cannot force her, right, to get into a certain field or, expect her to have a particular interest because she is her own person. She has her own interests, whatever, and she's still young. But I think for young girls, young women, especially with younger kids, the more we can expose them to these, the better it will broaden up their scope and their horizon, right? So who knows? Maybe one of these days something will click in their head, and when they're older, they're like, "Oh, I remember, I went and saw the space shuttle, and that sounds really cool. I want to learn more about space," right? Then they might want to go into that direction. So there is still a big need. So right now, I am in technology recruiting, management recruiting, executive recruiting business, and there is a huge need with like engineering managers that are female, but either they're almost retiring because it's like one of the very few that have the experience, or they're now just starting out but they don't have that experience just yet. So in the last, I would say 10-20 years, there's still a gap, but now I am seeing more and more women getting into the technology field. So hopefully in another 5 to 10 years, the level will be even on the playing field.
No, that's great. And that's so encouraging. Like Julian was saying, I've got 5 children. 2 of them are girls, right? And our oldest is just about to turn 11. And these kind of topics, they're going to be coming up in the next few years, and probably already, we've already discussed things on a certain level, and we find that we do things like play Roblox,
Oh, my
Minecraft.
stepdaughter, she
You
just
know,
turned 14. She still plays Roblox.
yeah, exactly. And I find at least some level of connection there. It's like sort of getting into their world.
Yeah.
And yeah, and now and she's our oldest, so the younger boys, when they start playing Roblox, we'll all play together and that sort of thing, and kind of mix the conversation up, and there's no need for us to create any taboo conversations like, oh no, these are cars,
Right.
my daughter doesn't need to know anything about cars. We don't need to talk like that anymore. Now we can just be all inclusive, and it's very refreshing, and it's very encouraging what you're saying, Joy. That you can see the movement. You can see the change, the equilibrium, and yeah, it's nice to see.
Yeah, yeah, and years ago when my daughter was still, I think she was probably 8 or 9, and she was playing Minecraft. That Minecraft was the thing, and then she switched over to Roblox. I found out that there was a Minecraft game camp, like a spring break camp or summer camp. So I signed up. I signed her up for it. So even though it's a game, I found out there's actually a lot of like math and
Yeah, and science.
engineering,
Yeah,
actually engineering
yeah,
in it. So I
yeah,
didn't know about this, but so when I go pick her up at the end of the day, I would talk to the instructors. They're like, "Yeah, today we learned about the AND gates and NOR gates." I'm like, "What? That's what I learned like back in engineering classes." So I was like,
programming
"Wow,
logic.
this is
Yeah,
great." So at least I know that she was exposed to it, right?
yeah,
She was exposed to, the logic of like engineering, and I said, so how did she do it? Like, oh, she was great. She was even teaching others. So I know that she can do this if
Mhm.
she ever chooses to get into that field, because she understands. So yeah, so like I said, for us older people,
Mhm.
the parents, what we can do now is to expose them to these
Yeah.
areas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
and
like you said, sorry,
well,
Genevieve.
what I was going to add is, if you want to expose your girls to STEM, we need programs that are going to interest them. So, like Joy was saying, her child was interested in Minecraft, and then if you have a program that integrates, Minecraft and STEM, they're going to be interested, because really, to get somebody to want to spend time on something, you have to remove fear from them,
Yeah.
and make them comfortable with something. So if they spend time with it, and like, because it's a lot of it's mathematics, and so if they learn mathematics, they get comfortable with the language of mathematics, then they're going to want to do it more because they're good at it, they're comfortable with it. I was fortunate. My grandfather pit all of us cousins against each other. I know that sounds terrible, but no, it was really fantastic. My grandfather was really into puzzles. He's a really smart man, and he's still alive. So hi, Grandpa. But he would like print out Mensa questions, and then he would. I know,
Awesome.
right? And like when my cousin Anthony and I. So my cousin Anthony is I think he has an engineering degree. I think it's software engineering. A couple of my cousins on that side do, and my father was an engineer, so it runs in the family. I'm not, but he would give us the same question and be like, "Let's see who finishes it first," and gets it right, So we would like want to be the one that gets it right and finishes it first, because we want Grandpa to like us more. And so, but we got really good at it. So, use that a little bit,
It
you
makes
know.
sense. It makes sense. And you start seeing correlations, like you're saying with the and or logic
Mhm.
from the Minecraft world, and how you suddenly understand it when you're learning it in school, for example. Those correlations can be a really great catalyst for them developing an interest in some technical field of some kind. So awesome. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We'll definitely take your guys' advice on board.
Yeah, build that foundation,
Yeah, me
Yeah,
too.
totally.
Thank you very much for that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We're in 1 hour and 17 minutes. What do you think? Should we wrap it up in like 15 minutes or something? Or
Yeah, if
what are
that's all
your
right with you guys.
Mhm.
Yeah, I do have to head out pretty soon. So I have
okay?
another
Cool. No, no
appointment. Yeah.
worries. No worries at all.
Yeah.
Um,
Claude, should go or should I?
I was going to say, I think I've got one more question here.
Yeah, I got it.
Make for an interesting.
It's related to what
Yeah.
we just talked about. So
Yeah, but
maybe,
have you got anything extra there, Gillian?
uh, yeah. So what we just talked about, you know, uh, making people interested in things, but the effects are not really clear. For example, you might expose your children to, let's say, space, and they might be interested, but maybe not, right? But you've been exposed to Tesla and the Tesla community. So the question is, what are the effects of that? How has the Tesla community changed your mindset or how you operate within the world?
That's a very good question. I haven't really thought about this. I don't I don't think it's changed me all that much, because I see it again just like a new technology that I'm excited about, that I tell my friends about. Um, but I have to say that I have met a diverse group of people in the community, that I've come to know. And I really appreciate the support and encouragement that we give to one another. So I think that's the biggest benefit for me being involved in the Tesla community.
Yeah, I would
Okay.
have to agree. Like, everybody's so positive. I don't know. It's the first thing I do in the morning. Like, when you guys see me get on in the morning, I know you see me because you guys are on a different time zone. And I'm good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. It's so positive. Like, people are like, Twitter's so negative. And I'm like, are we on the same platform? Because maybe you should join the Tesla Twitter community. Because I'm always like hashtag Tesla Twitter fam. Like, where are my Tesla people? I don't know. It does feel like an extended family to me. Everybody's so sweet. And I feel like we're all working towards something together. Like, we're all pushing towards this mission. We're all putting our money where our mouth is.
Yeah.
And we're just
So
holding
true.
on for dear life,
Yeah.
especially the investors. Oh, my portfolio goes up and down by 6 figures like daily.
You
Like,
and
Oh my
Jason
God.
DeVault.
Very
Two of
volatile.
yeah.
Yeah.
Jason's always like, I'm going back to bed. And I'm like, oh, maybe I should too, And I'm like, is it too early for wine?
I just don't look at it. I just
Noon,
put it in my retirement account and just let it ride.
Okay.
I look at it because
Yeah.
it's so fun, and then I'm like, stop looking at it. But it's on my phone. Like, I have an app, it's easy. So, but yeah, so I love the Tesla Twitter community, but I think you guys know that.
Yeah.
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 And another
Yeah.
great thing I want to highlight is I get to meet people from over the world, like you guys, right? I mean, I've seen Jennifer
Same.
on Twitter, but she
All
and I
over the
never
place.
ever crossed paths. I never talked to her. I didn't know who she was, and now I'm like, hey, Jennifer, you're awesome, right?
I
And
know.
same
I know.
same with you guys, Claude and Julian, right? So now it's like whenever I travel, I'll be like, hey, I'm gonna be,
In the
XYZ, and they're
vicinity.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, anyone wants to come out and have coffee or have dinner together. Like, I go back to Taiwan. I'm from Taiwan originally. I still have citizenship there, so I go
Yeah.
back there once a year, right? So for the last 2 years I've been back, I connected with Tesla Club, Tesla Owners Club Taiwan,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
we would hang out and have dinner, and just now I have friends everywhere I go.
Mm.
It's amazing.
Awesome. And it's an interesting thing to consider also how, I mean, our enthusiasm can easily be kind of misconstrued as, oh, we're part of a cult, right?
Yeah,
We're all part of this big cult. But if you had to, like you say, think it through,
yeah.
and as Julian says, join the dots, and actually, if the penny drops, if you have that aha eureka moment, and you realize, oh my goodness, this is actually something that's really not just really really cool, it's very very significant, and that we can actually play a role in this unfolding of the next level of history is really sobering, and it's the source of all this. It's a massive source of all this enthusiasm, and like you say, we're making these connections across the globe on very common grounds. It's not difficult to understand if you're willing to unlearn the FUD and then open your mind to understand, well, what is actually possible. Like Elon is saying, if you're not breaking the laws of physics, then you're in the realm of possibility, and that's what's being proven right in front of our eyes with electric vehicles that are a viable option and soon to be passing price parity with what we have been um, driven to believe to be the best form of transportation with internal combustion engine vehicles and things like that. So yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is what this
Yeah,
channel
you
is
brought up
about.
the word cult. So that's a label that a lot of people have put on us, right? Like they
Yeah,
call either Elon or Tesla fanboys or fangirls, and we're in a cult. So I'm just gonna make a clarification here. Personally, I don't worship Elon. I just think he's a brilliant guy.
exactly,
I
exactly.
don't put him on a pedestal. I don't, go out and buy all the merch that he puts out there. I don't have Tesla shorts. I don't, it's just an expensive piece of fabric that I just don't need to spend my money on. Right. And to
Same
me, and
thing.
also because I'm older, I just don't care. Right. I see Elon as another human being just like I am, right? He's only like a few years older than me, right?
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
see him as a human being who may say things impulsively that may not be the right thing, right? He may make decisions that I do not agree with, right? And I would, like, for example, he keeps raising the FSD beta, FSD software price. I'm like, no, keep it at 5,000. Nobody's gonna buy it. 15,000. I get it. It's so valuable, but $15,000. None of my friends who are buying new Teslas will be paying another $15,000 for that. $5,000, you get a lot more FSD beta testers on the road, right? So things like that. So so when people say, "Oh, you're in the call," I'm like, no, there's so many things I disagree with him. And I've actually gotten called out for this, like being a traitor or whatever on Twitter when I disagree with him before. But I'm like, you know what? He's just another human being. He makes mistakes, just like I would. So I'm just a really happy customer of the
Awesome.
product that the company called Tesla had put out, and what the CEO Elon Musk, he had a vision to produce. I'm a happy recipient. So if you like something, of course you're going to go tell your friends, right? And
Sure.
another thing with Tesla is I've been asked, why is Tesla on this level? I mean, like BMW, Porsche, whatever, they have their own little car gathering, right? But it's not on the scale as a Tesla community. And I compare the Tesla brand to like a sports team or a band, right? So these are the things that would transcend all backgrounds, all walks of life, right? So like I don't know what football teams you guys like, right? Maybe Chelsea, and I don't know what's in Germany, right? So, but if both of you like Chelsea, right? Julian's a German and Claude is South African, you can get behind that. You can talk about that thing, right? Or if you like the Beatles, right? Then whoever, like all over the world, you just get together and talk about that. So I see Tesla brand as that. And I've met people that have been, they were like, maybe BMW enthusiasts for so long, and then now they come into the Tesla community. I would always hear, yeah, BMWs, we have our little gatherings, but it's so competitive. Everyone's trying to like one up another person. But when they come to the Tesla meetup, everyone's so nice. We're sharing knowledge. We're like, yeah, encouraging one
Inclusive.
another. So nice. Yeah. And just totally different. So yeah, if you want to call me a cult, I guess that's a cult, but I don't think that's a cult. I'm just a very happy customer.
Well, and like Julian was saying just now, that's another one of the reasons why we started this channel was to put more real people in the conversation. Is if people are thinking that it's a cult and everybody's being paid to say something, and that it's actually not true. They are there are people just like us who are out of our taking our own time to have a conversation like this, and it's when as the conversation grows, as the community itself grows, as you uncover all of those future Tesla owners, kind of as you reach out into the wider community, that those fuddy images will basically lose their sting.
Yeah.
So I
I
think
think
what
that's a great point to wrap it up, right? So
yeah
saying that it's a very inclusive community, and this channel is dedicated to the community. That's why it's called the Tesla Community Channel, right? It's open to anybody all over the world. I mean, we're here from the East Coast, West Coast in the US, UK, Germany, and yeah, everybody's open to join. And we are
exactly
really glad to have you here. And yeah, thank you for your time and energy and all your thoughts and brilliant insights that you were sharing with us today.
it's been a
Thanks for
super
having us.
it's been a super pleasure to have a chance to catch up with you guys, Jennifer and Joy. And I've been following, like you say, Joy, your other uh, Darren's channel. I saw that show the other day. That was brilliant. And I think every bit of Tesla information that we can get a hold of is just so nice. And getting a chance to speak to you guys in person is awesome. So like Julian's saying, this just channel, we're gonna grow it the best we can. We're pretty busy guys, with the family and all of that, but it's an ongoing conversation, and you guys are welcome back anytime. And it'll be great to just stay on these front row seats to this turn of history.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me on. It's been an honor and a pleasure, and so nice to finally meet you, Jennifer.
Oh, it was great to meet all of you. Like, this was a lot of fun. So thanks, guys, and everybody have a great day.
Such a pleasure. Likewise, you guys.
Great. Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right.